Bitcoin is the biggest cryptocurrency right now, but it's going to fail. My name is Andrew, and let me tell you why. First of all, I'm gonna say that Bitcoin is a great cryptocurrency right now, and I do support Web3, decentralization, cryptocurrencies, blockchain, all that stuff. I do support it. But I think that Bitcoin is going to fail in the future. And let me tell you why. So, how did that video came up to be? I have my own project called Void.management. You can buy my crypto indices here to diversify your investments, to buy many tokens at once, and all that stuff. I'm gonna create separate videos on that project, so wait for them. But I created my own Twitter, as you can see right there. And lots of people on Twitter say that Bitcoin is the cryptocurrency of the future. Bitcoin is gonna revolutionize the financial system. But I do not think that that is the case. And let me tell you why. If we look at TradingView crypto heatmap, so cryptos by their market cap, we can see that Bitcoin takes around 20 to 30% of all the cryptocurrencies in existence. And yeah, that's a huge number, but why do I think that that big piece of cryptocurrencies is going to fail? Of course, if cryptocurrencies take the right route in their development. Let's start. So I have 3 points on why Bitcoin is going to fail. The first point is smart contracts. So what is a smart contract? Smart contract is basically an application that works on a blockchain. And here you can see my Bitcoin blockchain diagram. So we have BTC software here, here, and here. And it's not an accurate diagram. We don't have any wallets here, but those are just Bitcoin nodes that allow us to create our blockchain, ran on different computers and all that stuff. And Bitcoin is our native currency. What is the problem with that? The problem is that the only thing that I can do with Bitcoin is send it from one wallet to another. Of course, I can exchange it on some exchanges to US dollars, to some other cryptocurrencies, but the only thing that I can do inside of the blockchain itself is send money from one person to another. To be honest, Bitcoin has some built-in code like time transactions and all that stuff, but we don't really use them. The only thing that we do is we send money from one wallet to another. Of course, not from nodes, but from wallet to another. And what is the problem with that? The problem is that we do not have smart contracts. And as I said, smart contract is basically an application that is ran in decentralized fashion, in our case on blockchain. And why is it so important? Let's imagine that we want to export our oil. So we have some oil or we have some other products and we want to export them. So I have my product here and someone wants to pay me. So someone wants to import that product. I want to export it. What is the problem here? The problem is that if I simply send my oil to some other company on a ship or somewhere else, what's going to happen is I can get screwed up. So what if the person does not pay me? Or what if the person pays me, but I do not send my oil? So we need to trust each other. And trust is really, really important because we can make lots of money on that trust. So we do not make the money, but banks do. So what we do when we want to export our oil or sell some products is we need to trust someone else. In our case, we need to trust the person that is going to import the oil and pay us in dollars or in any other currency. So what do we do when we want to export our oil or sell any products or do anything? We want to trust the other person. And in order for us to trust the other person, we need to use banks, a centralized entity that will allow us to execute the trade. So what we want to do is have a bank that will contact our company, have another bank that will contact another company that wants to buy our oil, and banks will contact each other. We may have 3, 5, 10, we can have lots of banks that work with each other, and of course all those banks require us to pay fees. So that is a really, really big problem. And aside from that, we need to trust one single entity. So in our case, the bank. What's going to happen again? We are going to have some contracts, so banks are going to write some contracts, some legal stuff, and we'll sign those contracts, and after everything is done with the legal side, we can just simply exchange our goods. But what is the problem here? The problem is that when we exchange our goods, we first of all need to trust the bank. One. Second of all, fees. And if we have something like a monopoly in our country or monopoly in some sort of trade, so for example, monopoly in some field of business, what we can have is something like a 15% fee. Here, then 5% fee here, other fees, some transportation fees, some other fees. So we can have lots of fees. We need to trust a single entity. We can have monopoly, we can have big fees, we can have issues with the trust, because what if the bank wants to screw us over? They can do that. Of course, it's not always the case, but we need to trust a single entity. And that trust is really, really important because we can remove it completely. So what's going to happen with blockchain and how does it work? So basically, we're going to have smart contracts. Instead of banks, we're going to have smart contracts. Basically an application that works on the blockchain. And why is it so important? Because what we can do is we can get the other party. So for example, I want to export my oil or I want to send some products and what I'm going to do is get the other party and well, maybe someone else, maybe some other contractors, maybe we ourselves will write a smart contract. Then we'll publish it to our blockchain. And once the smart contract is published, we can write it so that some conditions need to be true in order for us to make the trade. So for example, only if I sell my oil or only if I send my oil to another person and that person sends me Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, only then we exchange our products. So that's basically the idea. So I have lots of other videos on smart contracts and how do they work, but basically it's an application that cannot be managed by anyone. So there is no owner for that application. Of course, we can write it so there will be an owner, but typically smart contract is basically a contract that will only follow its code. So if the code is correct, there are no bugs, no vulnerabilities, and no other stuff, we can trust the code because no one will manage that smart contract. We can execute any trades that we want. Kind of like that. So basically a decentralized application. But why am I telling you all that? Because Bitcoin blockchain does not support smart contracts. And the first blockchain that started working with smart contracts is Ethereum, the second biggest cryptocurrency right now. And yeah, kind of like that. Bitcoin does not support smart contracts or any other stuff. So different blockchains have different features. For example, if we're talking about Solana, they have smart contracts and they're really, really fast. If we're talking about, Monero, they are anonymous. So transactions are anonymous. I cannot be traced. Of course, I can be traced, but actually, I don't know if I can be traced or not. I think that Monero transactions are completely anonymous. And yeah, lots of different blockchains have different features. But Bitcoin blockchain does not have any of those because that was the first blockchain that was created. The first successful blockchain, the first successful peer-to-peer money. And it's just old. That's the problem. Smart contracts are really, really important. And I think that if we want to revolutionize the financial system, we need that too. Because right now, financial system is not just money from person A to person B. Financial system is much more. International trade, insurance, all that stuff. And insurance is already developed or is already developing on Ethereum and other blockchains. So insurance for your wallet, insurance for your funds, and so that stuff. Well, trade can be executed on Ethereum and all that stuff can be done with smart contracts without any third-party trust. But here on the Bitcoin blockchain, we need to, the only thing that we can do is we can send money. And if we add some other programs, like if I want to build a bank that will work with Bitcoin, I'm going to need to trust the bank. And it completely removes the trust and, no third-party thing that was the main idea of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is really, really, really old. They do not have smart contracts. They do not have any other features other than sending money from person A to person B. That's it. That's why I think that is the first point on why I think Bitcoin is going to fail in the future. The second point is kind of interconnected with the first one because Bitcoin is really, really old. Software of Bitcoin is updated daily. So we can go to GitHub. I will show you it right here. Show it to you right here. So GitHub and then Bitcoin. And we can see that Bitcoin is, it was updated 12 hours ago. There are lots of commits. There are lots of things that are developing, lots of bugs are being fixed and all that stuff. But Bitcoin itself is really, really, really old. I cannot do anything with Bitcoin. It's really slow. So there are like 8 transactions per second. It uses a very old algorithm, proof of work, which is, if you know proof of work, I have a separate video on that. But proof of work is really, really old algorithm that is really, really unsustainable. So we need to spend lots of electricity, lots of CPU power and all that stuff just to mine Bitcoins. That's not sustainable once again. And there are far more better algorithms out there, so we can use them. Bitcoin is really, really old. There is not much thing that you can do with it. And lots of people say, yeah, Bitcoin is great, but they store their funds on some centralized exchange. That's not the way to use Bitcoin or any other blockchain. Of course, you can store your funds on centralized exchanges like Binance, Coinbase or some others. That's not a problem. It's your thing. You can do whatever you want. But the problem is that if you want to really use Bitcoin blockchain, then we need to somehow improve it. But the thing is that if we want to use Bitcoin blockchain, we need to improve it. And without any improvement in the system itself, there will be no Bitcoin. Of course, once again, Bitcoin is the first successful peer-to-peer money, and that was great because it's the first successful project, so that's great. But if we want to develop it in the future and use it as the main cryptocurrency, we need to drastically improve it, kind of like that. And not only in bug fixes or optimization, we need to improve it with transactions per second. We need to improve it with some other features and all that stuff. Okay, so that is the second point. And the third point is kind of like a theory, because I do not know if that is going to happen for sure, but let me show you what I'm thinking. So Bitcoin does not have any fees right now. Well, they do, but fees are not required as far as I'm concerned. And what do we do when we want to send transactions? We want to mine new blocks. So Bitcoin miners simply mine new blocks. And once the block is mined, Bitcoin miners receive some reward in Bitcoin. So what happens? I want to send money from person A to person B. Bitcoin miner sees my transaction, adds it to the block, and mines that block, so finds the answer to the block. Once the answer is found, my Bitcoin miner receives some Bitcoin as the reward. So some Bitcoin goes to miner, a newly created Bitcoin. And my Bitcoin that I sent from my wallet to some other wallet is transferred. What is the problem here? The problem is that with each minute, with each block, with each hour, Bitcoin reward is getting smaller. So I think that with 100 blocks in Bitcoin, so 100 blocks mined, that reward is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Well, it's getting smaller for sure, but I do not know the quantity of blocks. What's important here? Important is that one day there will be no reward. So no reward at all. No reward. And miners will simply mine blocks for nothing. What do I mean by that? Basically, we only have 21 million Bitcoins in existence. So not right now, but there will be only 21 million Bitcoins in existence. And that means that once all the Bitcoins are mined out, miners will simply mine blocks for nothing, because new Bitcoins will not be spawned, will not be created. And what miners will require to do is send transaction fees. And the same will happen as it is with Ethereum right now. So if you go to Etherscan, you know about Ethereum blockchain, they have a big problem with their gas price. So I need to pay, okay, gas price is fine right now, but I need to pay $2 just to swap my first token to my other token. I may have to pay $100 to swap my tokens. I may have to pay, I don't know, $10,000 to swap my tokens. It depends on the operation that you're doing and on the gas prices. So Ethereum has a huge problem with gas prices. And what's going to happen to Bitcoin? Once all the Bitcoins are mined out, what we're going to have is huge gas fees. Because what's going to happen is person A wants to send money to person B. Person A says, okay, I'm going to spend $1 as a fee. I'm going to send you $100 and $1 is going to go as a fee to the miner. Miner says, okay, $1 is great. The other person wants to, well, I want to send money as well. He sent $1 fee, I'm going to send $2 fee, so I'm going to kind of like win over it. So win over the first transaction. And what's going to happen is fees will grow and grow and grow and grow. So each person is going to have to pay more for that transaction to be executed. Of course, they're going to fall, they're going to rise, but fees are going to be huge. And I think that, once again, it's a theory and it's not proved 100%. I do not even know about Bitcoin source code, so I've looked at it, but I do not know every part of it, so that may not be the case. But what I think will happen is that Bitcoin fees will rise to the sky and no one will use it, because why do I need to spend $100 to send money from person A to person B if I can spend, I don't know, even $1 on Ethereum to send money from person A to person B, or I don't know, 0.00001 Matic on, or $1 or 1 cent on Polygon or some other blockchain. So basically what is going to happen is Bitcoin may have a big rise in their fees, or a big increase in their fees. And that's kind of bad. So those are 3 things that will ruin Bitcoin in my opinion. Once again, go to my void.management project, look at it for yourself. I'm going to create separate videos on that. I'm going to do a lot of stuff regarding that project. Right now it's not in the best shape, but yeah, I'm going to improve it. For now, you can just go there and by the way, those are dApps, so those are decentralized applications or smart contracts, so I don't have any backend here. Just go to void.management, look at it, and kind of like see it for yourself. If you want, you can buy my index. If you don't want to, then don't buy, but just look at it. My name is Andrew. I think that Bitcoin will fail. Write your comments down below. Thank you for watching, and good luck.